It's Friday, everyone. What do we do on Fridays here at the Hint Hive? That's right, we smash the patriarchy. Hey there, badass women and our allies. Welcome back to the Hint Hive, amplifying women's voices. I'm your host, Kelly Hint, queen bee of this hive, feminist life coach, psychotherapist, and your unapologetic hype woman for all things empowerment. Today, we are cracking open a topic that has lived in the shadows of gender dynamics for way too long: weaponized incompetence. Or, as I like to call it, the "I don't know how to do it, so you do it" syndrome. This isn't just about a few forgotten chores or a passive-aggressive dishwashing fail. This is a cultural phenomenon that has been quietly draining the life force from women for generations. And we're going to expose it, unpack it, and talk about how to shut it down. Because we're done playing small, and we're definitely done cleaning up other people's messes. All right. First and foremost, because the world is filled with douchebags who want to fight me on everything I say, I will start with a disclaimer. This episode is not saying every man is like this. This episode is written and recorded for women who happen to be dealing with this issue. And while I'm at it, here's a reminder that this podcast is written and recorded for women and any allies that want to learn, understand, and or grow. So, no more whining to me that this podcast is about man bashing, or that it's not giving men credit or focus or whatever crap you're stuffing my inbox with. Gentlemen, if you want to listen to a podcast that focuses on and highlights men, go find it. This one is not for you. Oh, okay, phew. That's out of the way. Gotta address those fragile little egos, So let's jump in and piss them off some more. So weaponized incompetence happens when someone, and unfortunately, most often a man in a heterosexual relationship, pretends to be unable to do a task correctly or at all, not because he genuinely can't, but because he knows it will get him off the hook. It's strategic incompetence disguised as helplessness. Picture this. He forgets how to dress the kids for school, or intentionally messes up the laundry by turning whites pink again, or suddenly becomes incapable of figuring out the online bill pay system, even though he's somehow fluent in managing complex spreadsheets at work or, rewiring your entire home theater system. This kind of behavior isn't cluelessness. It's learned behavior with one outcome: getting you, ladies, to take over again and again. And it reinforces the idea that these responsibilities are naturally yours, while allowing him to maintain the privilege of opting out. He can troubleshoot a smart TV. He can draft fantasy football players with military precision, or lead a meeting at work with confidence and clarity. But somehow, he can't remember where the diapers are or how to heat up a bottle. That is not an accident. That is a tactic. It's a carefully constructed form of selective amnesia that relies on the expectation that you will pick up the slack. And it works, because you do, again and again. until one day you realize the pattern isn't about capability, it's about convenience. So the term weaponized incompetence started showing up in feminist online spaces and relationship blogs as women began giving language to what they'd silently endured for years. But let's be real. Our grandmothers and great-grandmothers lived through this long before it had a name. They called it men being men, or he works hard, he deserves to relax, because that's what society told them. It was normalized, expected, and absorbed as part of a woman's duty. But the truth is, this kind of learned helplessness has always been a gendered power play. One that left generations of women holding the bag while being told they were lucky to have it all. But you know what? We work hard too. We work unpaid shifts at home after clocking out of our actual jobs. We manage schedules, emotions, families, and crises on the daily. And the bar doesn't need to stay so low. Hell, it's time we raise it so high that it makes people uncomfortable. Because equality should not be a radical demand. It's the damn bare minimum. And we are not settling for less anymore. So let's move into the psychology behind this learned helplessness. I can tell you, as a psychotherapist, I see this dynamic in couples more than I'd like to admit. Men will often shrug, half laugh, and say, "Oh, she's just better at this stuff," as if it's some quirky fact about their relationship. Meanwhile, the woman sits beside him, not just frustrated, but exhausted, disillusioned, and barely holding back the emotional floodgates. That casual statement isn't innocent. It's a socially acceptable way of saying, she handles the hard stuff, so I don't have to. It's a deflection that keeps the status quo intact and keeps women over-functioning in silence. These patterns are learned and often deeply ingrained. Many men grew up in households where emotional labor, household planning, and caregiving were invisible and thankless roles carried almost exclusively by the women around them. They absorbed, often without question, the idea that these things just get done, without ever noticing who was doing them. So when they enter into adult partnerships, they don't necessarily set out to be passive, but they subconsciously fall into the same lopsided expectations that they witnessed growing up. The blueprint was laid in childhood, and unless it's examined and actively dismantled, it becomes the default. But let's be clear, this is not about cognitive limitations. It's about motivation. It's about emotional convenience. It's about choosing to stay in the low responsibility role of the fun parent or the bumbling husband, while their partner carries the mental, emotional, and logistical weight of the entire household. It's a power play wrapped in passivity, and the cost is women's time, energy, and well-being. The result? Unequal partnerships, mounting resentment, and women who feel more like exhausted operational directors than loved, respected, and emotionally supported equals. It's not just burnout. It's betrayal in slow motion, disguised as everyday life. So how does this weaponized incompetence show up? Let's name some classic examples, because once you see it, you'll get it and you can't unsee it. So he asks you to write the Christmas list, shop for the gifts, wrap them, plan the holiday dinner, manage the RSVP list, coordinate matching pajamas, and then thanks you on behalf of the kids as if he's just a thoughtful bystander and not a full-grown partner with equal responsibility. Or he, quote, can't cook, yet somehow expects a hot meal to magically appear after you've put in a full day of work, wrangled the kids, and still managed to keep the household functioning. Spoiler, that is not incompetence. That is entitlement wrapped up in an apron you never asked to wear. Or another one. You ask for help cleaning, and he vacuums exactly one corner of the room badly, like he's hoping you'll be so annoyed that you never ask again. It's the domestic version of sandbagging the group project. Or another one, when you express frustration, he weaponizes that too. You're being too controlling, or you just want things done your way, flipping the script to make you the problem. It's not just deflection, it's gaslighting designed to keep you questioning your standards instead of questioning his effort. And let's be honest, this is not about perfectionism. It's about survival. It's about knowing that if you don't do it, it won't get done, or it'll get done so poorly that it just creates more work for you. It's about the crushing reality of being the default for everything, and the silent resentment that builds when you're left to carry it all every damn time. Is this sounding familiar? If it's not, consider yourself lucky. And maybe just be there to support the women in your life who are complaining about this, who are talking about this soul-sucking exhaustion of doing it all. And I know at least some of you are wondering if I have experienced this in my relationships in my life. And the answer is yes. And ironically, just the other day, I was with my husband and my son, and some of his friends were around. And yes, Tyler, I am using this example. So my son had dropped his sunglasses. He was sitting in a chair and they were behind him on the ground. And a couple people had mentioned that there were sunglasses on the ground. And he was just like, yeah, they're mine. I'll get them. Well, I was behind him. And of course, the thought of somebody stepping on his glasses drove me crazy. And so I walked over and I picked them up and I handed them to him. And he and his friends started laughing. And his friends started joking around about how he still has his mom do things for him, right? Now my son was not expecting me to do it or anything like that. He didn't have that entitlement there, but somewhere in his brain, he knew that I would take care of it. Even if it was just this little teeny tiny part. And I threatened to, as they were talking, I threatened to put this in the episode, and here I am saying it. But now that was not something that pokes my buttons or drives me crazy or makes me turn into a lunatic. That was just kind of a funny example. like, that's not something that drains me, right? Like, but it was just one of those examples of how it turned into a conversation, because I told my son he was helpless. I said, this learned helplessness is ridiculous. And we were laughing about it, right? Which led to he and his friend laughing about the stuff that their moms have done for them. And, and his friend was like, I'm 26 and my mom still does stuff like that for me. So I share this as an example of how it still happens. It's out there, right? And again, I was not angry about this scenario, but it was just another one of those, yep, this is just how it is kind of feelings. With my husband, I'm not that nice. When he does stuff like that, the whole, I don't know how to do it. Well, you know what? I don't either. Figure it out yourself. Because again, as a 51-year-old woman who is now an empty nester, who thought she wouldn't have to keep wiping men's butts anymore, but suddenly her father has been dropped in her lap and is now cleaning up his messes. Yeah, I won't even go there. Anyway, I thought that I was going to be done with this. I thought that I was going to be moving into a season of my life where I wasn't going to have to keep wiping people's noses anymore. And apparently that's not happening. So yeah, the level of frustration for me is real, and it is here and it is now. And again, as a post-menopausal woman, I'm done with it, and I'm being vocal about it, and I'm verbalizing it. So on that note, let's actually talk about some actionable steps. What can you do? Because these are some of the things that I started to do a while ago because I got sick of it. And now I'm doing it even more because my reserves are thin. So the first step is to name it. Literally, say the words out loud. This feels like weaponized incompetence. It may feel awkward at first, especially if you've been conditioned to avoid confrontation or keep the peace, but naming it disrupts the script. Giving it language is the first form of power, because once something has a name, it cannot hide in the background anymore. It becomes visible, and what we can see, we can challenge. Step number 2, stop fixing it. Seriously, resist the urge to redo the half-done chore, even if it makes your eye twitch. When we swoop in to correct or finish what was left incomplete, we unintentionally reinforce the very behavior we want to stop. If he forgets the diaper bag, let him deal with the consequences. If he buys the wrong groceries after you've asked for help, let him figure out dinner. Natural consequences teach faster and more effectively than any lecture, and more importantly, they put the responsibility right back where it belongs. And so, of course, in the lighthearted example that I gave of my son and his sunglasses, clearly I did not do this action step because I fixed it. But again, it was a lighthearted example, so don't come at me with hate. I have enough hate coming at me, so don't be part of the problem. All right, step number 3, set clear boundaries. Have a direct conversation, such as, I'm not going to keep doing this for you. This is your responsibility too. And if the conversation turns into excuses, jokes, or deflections, hold your ground. Clarity is kind. Boundaries are not punishments. They are the scaffolding of healthy, equal partnerships. Make it clear that you are not asking for help. You are expecting shared ownership. And again, I'm just going to put in here, you don't have to be rigid about every single thing, right? Like if you like doing certain things for your partner or your children or other people, keep doing it. But If you're going and you're bitching to your friends, family, coworkers about all this stuff that you have to do, that's where I challenge you. You do not have to do it. You are choosing to do it. And these are the steps to try to free up some of your very precious time. All right. Step number 4, refuse to carry the emotional load. That means no more mental to-do lists for 2. No reminding, no hovering, no pre-planning so that someone else can coast. Emotional labor is the invisible backbone of any household or relationship, and it's often taken for granted. You are not his manager, his personal assistant, or his backup brain. Because when you continue to carry the emotional weight of 2 people, you are denying yourself the space to rest, create, and thrive. Let go of the myth that keeping it all together is your job. You deserve your own peace, your own clarity, and your own mental bandwidth. And again, I'm going to go back to saying that if it's something you want to do, that's fine. I'm talking about all of the expectations that you haven't agreed to. For example, if you know that you are better at organizing certain things, have a conversation with your partner and say, okay, I will take care of this part of it, but I expect this in return. This is what I need you to do, right? There's nothing wrong with helping one another out. I mean, my husband, actually, when I threatened to put him in this episode, I told him, I'm like, I'm going to talk about it. And he's like, well, I do stuff for you too, right? Because, that's typically the defense mechanism that happens is, yeah, but, right? Like, I love the yeah, buts. But then we ended up having a really good conversation about this. Yes, my husband does a lot of the literal heavy lifting, right? If I can't pick something up, he helps me out. This is not talking about help, because you know what? I help him out a lot too. We both help each other out when the opposite person has a strength or an ability that the other doesn't have. This is not talking about that. This is, okay, here's a real life example. This is my husband not ever wiping the effing countertop off when he makes a mess. Literally never. Never. He doesn't do it. Now, I don't need to, quote, help him out by taking care of that because he is perfectly freaking capable of wiping off the countertop, while I am not capable of lifting something that's 200 pounds. So see the difference there? Like, he has the capability of wiping off the counter. I do not have the capability of literal heavy lifting. So that's where I'm drawing the line there. But when it comes to, like, if he asked me for assistance in if he had a problem at work and he needed some help communicating in an appropriate manner to a coworker, right? Like, if he needs to use some assertive communication and he asked me to help him out with that, of course, yes, that's my area of specialty. And I would gladly help him out, but it would turn into weaponized incompetence if he said to me, which he never would, but if he said, I don't know how to talk to him, can you do it for me? Right? Like, that's the difference that I'm talking about. Okay, moving on. We've got 2 more steps here. Step number 5. Redistribute labor transparently, right? Take stock of every task you do that keeps your world running, especially the ones that no one sees or acknowledges. The meal planning, the appointment scheduling, school emails, holiday prep, family logistics, emotional support, you name it. Write it all down. Then sit down together with your partner and have an honest conversation about how these responsibilities are shared. Divide them in a way that reflects mutual respect and partnership. And here's the key. Once a task is assigned, let him own it fully. No coaching, no follow-ups, no saving the day. From start to finish, it's his lane. Because true partnership isn't about helping, it's about showing up equally, right? Like you don't have to continuously make up for a deficit that he is more than capable of doing himself. And then, last but not least, step number 6, therapy can help. As a therapist, I would be remiss if I did not say this. So, if the dynamic in your relationship is deeply entrenched and he's open to growth, therapy can be a powerful tool for transformation. Therapy offers a space where both partners can learn to identify these harmful patterns and to unlearn some of these gendered behaviors and then rebuild their relationship on mutual respect. But let's be clear. You should not have to beg someone to care about your burnout or make you feel like you're the problem for pointing it out. If he refuses to grow, it is not your job to carry the entire emotional load while waiting for him to get on board. You deserve a partner, not a project. And if he resists or minimizes or jokes about therapy, ask yourself, who benefits from him not learning? Here's a clue. It's not you. And let's just be very clear about this. This is about equity, not ability. Weaponized incompetence is not cute. It is not quirky. It's not just how men are. It's a calculated behavior that reinforces patriarchal norms by keeping women locked into caretaker roles. It relies on the assumption that women will always step in, always fix, always carry the weight. And it allows men to reap the benefits of domestic equality without ever having to contribute to it. These men are not incapable. They are choosing comfort over fairness. And in doing so, they are choosing to stay unaccountable. And I need to highlight here, this isn't limited to romantic partners. You might spot it in a coworker who always forgets how to use the copier, a sibling who never organizes family gatherings, a friend who always needs help moving but never offers it in return, a roommate who conveniently doesn't know how to do dishes or fold laundry, a teammate who waits for you to organize every birthday card and potluck. It's all the same script. Play helpless. Make her pick up the slack. Ladies, we are not doing that anymore. All right, my friends, this week's quote comes from, as always, the legendary Bell Hooks. Clearly, I love quoting this fabulous human. Bell states, "Responsibility to yourself means refusing to let others do your thinking, talking, and naming for you." And that, my friends, includes refusing to let others fake incompetence so that they can force you into service. We name it, we challenge it, and we stop letting it rob us of time, joy, and our damn sanity. Okay, before you go, here is your challenge this week. Identify 2 areas where you are picking up the slack for someone else's so-called helplessness. One at home and one outside the home. Then, commit to putting the weight down in both places. communicate your boundary, and let the chips fall. Because, ladies, you deserve to live a life where your contributions are seen, valued, and matched, not drained by someone else's comfort zone. Of course, as always, if you found this episode helpful, empowering, or just gave you the words to finally articulate what's been driving you up a wall, share it. Text it to a friend. Post it in your group chat. Blast it on social. Let's ripple this out. Let's give women the freedom to choose their work instead of the obligation of taking care of everything. And if you're having a hard time with that, reach out to me. I love teaching women how to set and enforce boundaries, especially using assertive communication. And of course, don't forget to follow the Hint Hive where you get your podcasts. Leave a review. Amplify this movement, because every listen, every share, every conversation chips away at a system that expects women to carry it all. And come on over to the Hint Hive Facebook group. We're waiting for you. So ladies, until next time, stay loud, stay sharp, and stop doing other people's emotional labor. You've got this. This podcast is powered by Kelly Hint Empowerment Coaching, as well as Kelly M. Hint LMHC and The Cranky Counselor. To find out more about coaching services, head over to CoachKellyHint.com. If you'd like to know more about the psychotherapy services I offer to individuals within the state of New York, you can check out KellyMHint.com. And if you'd like to learn more about aromatherapy, you can check out TheCrankyCounselor.com.